Hello and welcome back to the Librarian of the Rings. Today we're going to be talking about something that confused me, and that is what scene is depicted here in the Galadriel Scene box from the Magic the Gathering set. Welcome back, my name is Ben and I'm the Librarian. And you know, when I first unboxed the scene boxes from Magic the Gathering, Universes Beyond, Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth, I was a little bit confused by this one, which is the scene with Galadriel in it, because I didn't understand what scene it was trying to show from the books. Now, you might just be like, well, it's not depicting a scene from the books, and you could be right about that. There are some cards in Magic the Gathering, especially cards that have been recycled from other sets into the Lord of the Rings set, that don't necessarily show a scene exactly from the books. But for the most part, they were really careful with what they depicted. Sometimes they had to just fudge things a little bit in order to make it work with the game, but that would be a really odd choice for a scene box. All of the other scenes depicted some really iconic scenes, like Gandalf saving Faramir on the Pelennor Fields from the Witch King, and Aragorn at the Hornburg. And so I thought that this had to be something from the book that I was just being confused by. In my unboxing video, I did theorize that this could be one of the assaults on Lorien. There are 3 assaults that come from Sauron's forces onto Lorien that Galadriel and Celeborn repel. And so I thought maybe that was it. In this card, she is basically standing out there fighting the orcs. She is surrounded by a light bubble that seems to be going out and destroying the orcs. And on her left are the other elves who are fighting the orcs as well. But on her right, there is something odd. This card is called the Arboreal Alliance, so it obviously has to do with trees, and it creates tree folk tokens. I thought that was odd because I didn't have any recollection of a time when the Ents and the elves of Lorien were together fighting the orcs. So I wanted to do a little research into this and looking into the Return of the King and seeing what happened there. So of course, I'm going to read some from the book so that we can figure this out. This passage is from the Return of the King, and it's when the company arrives at Isengard and they're talking to Treebeard. And he says, "Those vermin of orcs. And they came over the river and down from the north and all around the wood of Lorien, which they could not get into, thanks to the great ones who are here." He bowed to the Lord and Lady of Lorien, and these same foul creatures were more than surprised to meet us out in the wold, for they had not heard of us before, though that might be said also of better folk. And not many will remember us, for not many escaped us alive, and the river had most of those. But it was well for you, for if they had not met us, then the king of the grassland would not have ridden far, and if he had, there would have been no home to return to. So that tells us a little bit about the fact that the Ents were actively fighting the orcs and keeping them out of Rohan. And we get just a little bit more detail on the timing here in the Tale of Years, which is in the appendices. March 11th, Eastern Rohan is invaded from the north and the first assault on Lorien. Then March 12th, the Ents defeat the invaders of Rohan. March 15th, battle under the trees in Mirkwood. Thranduil repels the forces of Dol Guldur. Second assault on Lorien. March 22nd, third assault on Lorien. And then we get a little bit more detail in the exposition in the Tale of Years that follows the destruction of the rings. It says, 3 times Lorien had been assailed from Dol Guldur, but besides the valor of the elven people of the land, the power that dwelt there was too great for any to overcome, unless Sauron had come there himself. Though grievous harm was done to the fair woods on the borders, the assaults were back. And when the shadow passed, Celeborn came forth and led the host of Lorien over Anduin in many boats. They took Dol Guldur, and Galadriel threw down its walls and laid bare its pits, and the forest was cleansed. So looking at those passages, it becomes pretty clear to me that this scene is depicting an assault on Lorien, but also off in the side, it's showing the Ents fighting the orcs as well, just to kind of bring that in and show that both the elves and the Ents, while they weren't necessarily together in the same place, they were in adjacent regions, and they were all keeping back the orcs that were in Dol Guldur, who could be coming into Rohan and just wiping out Rohan in the absence of Theoden. So I think that that solves my curiosity about what this scene is. It is a pretty cool scene for sure, and I really like seeing Galadriel kind of in her power here. It's clear that she is able to repel the forces. When it talks about the power that dwells in Lorien, talking about Galadriel with her ring, and that they could not be defeated except if Sauron had come there himself. That is the only way that that could have happened. So it's nice to see her portrayed in this really powerful stance, doing this powerful magic here, repelling the orcs, and also to bring in that part for the Ents and how they did their part to hold that border of Rohan against the orcs that were coming out of Dol Guldur. And that's going to do it for us today. I would love to hear from you about what you think about this set. Do you think I'm right about where this scene comes from? Until next time, farewell wherever you fare. May your Eries receive you at your journey's end.